Awesome. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of 2D Tiger. So, today's another installment of the key cutting experiment. Fingers still on there, so I'm happy. This was the old base motor sat in here, cutting wheel this way, span towards me like that. All well and good, but the cutting direction was that way, so there was actually a force off the shaft of the motor. That thing's only jammed onto the end of the shaft. Even if there's a little grub screw, the shaft doesn't have a notch, it's slotted, so it'll slide off. I've now redesigned it, and apologies for the crappy 3D print. I'm still waiting for that filament to dry out completely, and a little bit impatient. So, as you can now see, the motor is on the opposite direction, so I'm keeping the cutting direction the same towards me so it doesn't spray bits of cutting into my face or anything. So it's cutting down towards the key. I've kept the key direction and this part from the original, but I flipped the motor over onto this side, so when we cut that way we're pushing onto the shaft, so there's no forces coming off the motor shaft. That's the first improvement. The next thing I've done is I've added this little post here with that screw on there, so that even if it does come loose, it's not able to travel far enough to actually come off the shaft. All that'll happen is it'll spin and rattle and everything. So I've done that. I've incorporated the key scribe section here into part of the motor mount, so that's nice and stable. And if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see in there on the where have I got it? Actually, you might see it better here. On the motor mount in there, I've used double-sided adhesive, 3M stuff, so that the zip ties pull it down hard and there is no way that that motor can slide. So it's in there. So I've done all that, and then to improve things further, if you have a little look in there, so that little bit of paper on there on the cutting wheel, I actually, the last test here, you might even be able to see it. See the black line here on the back of the blade? I've been using a marker, a Sharpie on here to check how out of round it is, and I've tweaked it with that bit of, just the thickness of a bit of paper. Now I reckon that's probably a 90 GSM paper. I probably should go with a 70 GSM to get it perfect, but it's actually really good. When it spins up, it's really smooth. So that's all fixed and stabilized now as well. So I'm hoping that there's no more chance of bits coming off short of any of the 3D printing actually breaking, which it could, but you know, I've got the cable ties holding it together right through the base, so even if it does fracture cross printing, it can't go anywhere. It's like reinforced concrete, it's holding the layers together that way. So I'm really happy with that. This worked well last time. I didn't have a problem with that, allowing me to clamp each of the keys down solidly. One thing I do notice though is I made this step in here. I probably should have made that a bit deeper because I wasn't taking into account the thickness of a cruciform key. A normal key is thin, and I made the mistake of actually measuring this up on a normal key when I put it in there. So if I were to print this again, I'm going to give that a bit more clearance there. All in all, I'm excited to give this a go, and stay tuned. I'll have another attempt at trying to cut my finger off later on, probably this evening. But there are all the changes I've done to this. Oh, you see this bit sticking out at the end here now. I don't need that long. This whole lot now is 25mm shorter across here. So I've got a 100mm one of these somewhere. I just need to dig it up. I was lazy. I couldn't find it. I wanted to put it all together and keep it going. So when I find that, I'll swap that over as well. I'm going to clamp this down to the bench and fire it up. And stay tuned, and we'll have a go at cutting a cruciform key again. So hope things go a little bit better this time. Thanks everybody, thanks for watching. Have a good one.